Everyone, happy Friday and welcome to another episode of Earthen's Den. We are on the nighttime vibe, and in this episode I want to talk to you guys about the common lies that we tell ourselves, right? And I hope to obliterate some of those lies. But first, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I don't eat meat, so I literally just enjoy Thanksgiving to just spend time with my family. But I did get some good macaroni. I had some fabulous desserts and some good sweet potatoes, so it was fine, But you guys, I think one of the common lies that we tell ourselves is that we're happy. I think that our happiness is oftentimes dependent upon a circumstance or circumstances. And the reality is that deep down inside, we're really not happy, right? Like deep down inside, we actually feel emptiness. Deep down inside, we actually feel as though there is something missing, right? And I think that this lie is it's very prevalent. I think it's very prevalent, and I think it's really just because we don't think for ourselves, right? And so I have this I don't know if you want to call it a philosophical or philosophy or whatever, but I call it the common man, right? And when I say the common man, I'm not talking about a physical man and like in regards to the sexes. I'm talking about more like a theoretical type of thing. And so the common man, I believe that there is no ubiquitous projection than the common man who has allowed everyone to think for him, right? This is someone who is great, who has great regret and is always seeking to be like in control, right? I believe that this is somebody who is ruled by fear and sadness just for their lack of decision. This is somebody who will not admit that somewhere along the way they actually negated their truth. And this is something that I feel is just not really talked about, right? We have so many people, like I know, for example, oftentimes it's kind of like our older relatives or just people that we know who maybe a little bit older than us or maybe not, right? But this is somebody who literally is always seeking to control. So whenever you say, hey, I want to do this, they're like, no, I don't think you should do that. I think you should do this. And it's never really like necessarily from a space of like them not wanting to see you shine or wanting you to be happy. But I believe that it's just simply fear, right? And this is somebody who I feel will never admit that somewhere along the way, they listened to somebody else and they didn't make their own decisions. And so I think that this is probably one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves is that the decisions that we make are strongly influenced by our own truths and our own decisions, our own decision making. And it's just not true. I think that oftentimes we allow so many people to think for us, especially like in your 20s. I think when we were younger, if you're older than but like if you were in your teens, coming out of high school, freshman years of college, those times are a little different. I think that you needed a little bit more guidance and discipline and all of those things. But as you get older, you really start to get a very strong sense of self, and you kind of get more of a clear identity on what it is that you want and what really makes you happy, especially if you had years to explore, right? And I think that some people are definitely lucky, to have found their purposes and to have found what it is that they love to do straight out the gate. Some people know as early as like 13. I know that I knew kind of like around 19, 20 what it is that I wanted to do. So I definitely think that some people find it a lot sooner than others, but nonetheless, we all find it. And whether or not we follow that path and follow that joy that we know to be true, right? Our bliss. I think that is going to determine whether or not you become the common man, right? The common man is somebody who literally, and like I said, it's not a physical man, you guys. I'm not here man bashing. So please, like rewind and like listen again, because I want you guys to really, really feel me when I say this, and so this is what I believe when I see a lot of people who are kind of like dead-eyed and like they're no longer joyous, they no longer are very fruitful people, and it's just because they've allowed so many people to make decisions for them. And I think I was reading something, and it was like centennians, and they basically were just saying like one of the biggest life regrets that they had was not having the courage to do what it is that they do. And so one of the greatest lessons that my grandmother shared with me yesterday, and I swear to you guys, if I learn nothing else for the rest of my life, this will be enough. And it's literally just to think for yourself. I don't think that we realize how big influence is. Like, I don't think we realize the importance of that in our life and just its overall significance on our decision making. But it's so real. And I think that, I just want to encourage everybody to be very conscious of their decision making skills. And so one of the other lies I think that we tell ourselves is the lies around money. You guys, I know a lot of people. I've had someone tell me, like, they didn't want to make a lot of money just because they feel that if you make a lot of money, you kind of had to screw people over along the way. And it's all of these crazy myths around money. And I just don't understand, like, why. I'm going to try to understand. I think that one of the main reasons why we're just so sensitive in regards to money is because it wasn't taught to us. And I think if you're like myself, like growing up middle class, money wasn't something, it was kind of scarce, right? It was kind of scarce. And so I think that's kind of where these projections and all of this crazy stuff around money comes from. But I think that there are a lot of myths around money. That was one of them. Obviously, I personally don't believe that to be true. But I just want you guys who are listening to really think about your own lies around money. Like, really get clear on, like, how do you really see money? What do you really think about money? And I know, a lot of people, I know a lot of older people really adopt this, but younger people too. And they're always talking about, save for a rainy day and for me, I'm all for that, right? I'm all for having that safety account, that savings account just to, for safety and all of those things. But save for a sunny day, you guys. Save for investments, save for trips, save for business launches, and like all of those things. Like, save for joy. You know what I mean? Like, because here's the thing, like when you're putting your money up and you have this idea, I believe that if you have this idea that this is only for a rainy day, when opportunities come your way, you're not going to take them because you're literally expecting hardship. And that's going to come regardless. So it's just like, you're going to save for that. That's fine. But don't be in such a space where you're literally so crippled and you're literally only making moves. That's silly. And I think that's really something that I feel that's predicated around a lack mentality. So if that's your idea in regards to like you optimizing your savings, change that around. Like, save for a sunny day, save for the things that you really want and the things that you deserve and the things that, can grow your income and all of those beautiful things, like I'm not saying don't save for, because like I said, hardship, all of that stuff, it's inevitable. Like, if you live, it's literally inevitable. It's going to come. But I definitely believe in saving for sunny days. Like, seriously, that doesn't that make you more inspired and more determined to save when you're saving for your goals and where you're saving for that big move or when you're saving for that car, right? Versus like, okay, I'm just stacking all this money just in case my tire blows. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, money's great. Like, attach positive energy towards money and positive thoughts towards money so you can attract more of it. And then as you attract more of it, learn how to manage it, learn how to put it in different places to where it can, do something for you, right? Grow for you and all of those other things. Like, don't attach so many negative beliefs and commentaries around money. So I think another really big lie that we tell ourselves is like the people that we are in relationships with, and this doesn't have to always be in regards to romance, though I think that this is definitely something that's a little bit more common. I think that oftentimes we stay in relationships. I see this with men and women. I just don't know why we lie to ourselves. Like, we know that it is that we know that this is not what it is that we really want, but we stay out of fear, we stay out of convenience, we stay out of comfort and all of these things that are just ultimately in the long term are so debilitating. And it's just stop doing that. Like, stop. Like, if I think a big part of it too, I'm not going to lie, you guys, a big part of it is knowing what it is that you want. Now, I've heard men say that men don't necessarily know what it is they want until they see it. I don't really know. But from my ladies listening, get clear on what it is that you want. And I think as you grow, you definitely start to learn a little, because here's the thing, like the more you learn about yourself, the more you learn about what type of partner you want and what type of partner you want to attract in your life. And because you think about the long term, like you think about like if you have long-term goals, which you should, right? And you understand that the destination is there, or let me just say you know where it is you're going, right? So when you have that in mind, I think it's a little bit easier to determine who is built for this mission. And oftentimes we know that this is not anything that's going to really, advance us and really grow us in such a way, but we stay, I know a lot of people who actually stay in relationships just for the monetization of it. And it's so bizarre. Like, it's so crazy. And honestly, I know it's a thing right now. And ladies, I'm not, men and women, right? I'm not saying be with somebody who's like broke, busted, and disgusted. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot more to life than just money. And I'm not saying, like I said, I never said be with somebody who's broke. I'm just saying there's a lot more to life than money. And I'm going to leave that there because I don't even want to go down that, that's, hey, no, to each his own, right? And then I think another thing that we lie to ourselves about is self-awareness. A lot of people like to think that, I'm so self-righteous and, I'm just such a great person and, I would never, and not really ever having a clue like who they really are in spirit, not being in alignment, not being in touch with their soul and just their truths. Like, if you really okay, let's just take this for example. Okay. If everybody is telling you that you are selfish and that you are mean, you have a very nasty attitude and you just cannot seem to see it. And then you're playing the victim and you wonder why relationships aren't lasting, your friendships aren't lasting and all of these things. This is due to a lack of self-awareness. And I just think that it's so hard for a lot of people. This is what goes back to change. Like, it's really hard for some people to change because you guys, your entire identity shatters. Like, so much, like when I changed, I just couldn't believe it. First of all, I couldn't believe when I had really saw myself, right? Like when I really seen the person that I was and it was reflected in the mirror, I was like, oh my God, who is this arrogant little prude? Like, I just couldn't believe it. I really was like in shock, but I've always had a yearning for understanding. And so like me diving into self-discovery so young and even still continuously, it was just something that I really wanted because I yearned for that. But I know with some people, it's not as easy. And so I think that that's just like definitely one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves. Like, we like to think that we are just these great people, or we like to say, I didn't get this opportunity because of this, or I'm being overlooked because I don't have a college degree and all of these things. And it's like, stop it. You need, like, it's about that self-awareness. Why do you feel like, this factor is determining that, when the reality is that it's all up to you. It's all about what you believe. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I said relationships, you guys, I just can't stress that enough. It's so important about who you have around you. If you're with somebody who, this is what I've often found with people who have college degrees. This is for anybody who feels as though because they don't have a college degree that they're limited in life. When you deal with people who kind of have college degrees, they kind of want you typically to be on the same page. There's nothing wrong with that. Straight up, like, there's literally nothing wrong with that. But I just think that if you if you accept that into your soul and you accept that to be your truth, then that's going to be your reality. You're going to be limited by that. You know what I mean? But I suggest everybody getting around people who encourage them in their journey. And at the end of the day, hey, all I can say is this. As a man thinketh, so is he, right? So as you think, so are you. So if you literally believe that you are limited by X, Y, and Z, then that's what you're going to be limited by. You know what I mean? Like, that is just simple. It's straight up, so that's all I can say in regards to that. And I think another big lie that we tell ourselves is what we want. I don't think that we really go after what we wanted to. And honestly, it took so long for me to go after what I wanted because I guess it was getting to worthy, right? Like Tyler Perry talks about that, like just get to worthy. And I think for myself, I really struggle with that because I can't say that I've always, but I knew right after college when I was like 19, I was like, I want to inspire people. I want to mentor the youth. I want to inspire people. But I wasn't sure if I was worthy of that. I was like, okay, I know a lot of things, yet I'm always in a space where I am humble enough to admit that I don't know. And I always remain a student. But I can't front like I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I do know. And I felt like, I think one of my biggest limitations was just the people who are older, right? And just the kind of the way society views people who are older, right? I don't know if it was Steve Jobs, but one of the creators of some technological advancement. I'm sorry, I'm so bad like at citations sometimes because I'm always like immersed in so much information. So please forgive me, you guys. But they basically said that young leaders never get the credit that they deserve. And I feel that, and so when I speak to certain people, you guys, there's been times where people who were like 40 were teaching me something. And if I'm never arrogant. I'm always in this, like I said, I'm always a student and I'll just sit back. But I'm like, dude, you're teaching me this. I've already learned that. Do you know how hard it was for me to like really step up and say that instead of just like playing small and acting like I didn't know? You know what I mean? And it's really just because of the way society is structured and the way it's set up. You know what I mean? And so for me, it was like knowing what I knew, yet, like I said, always knowing so little. And you even hear it in my, like, oh, knowing what I know, yet knowing what I know so little. Like, why do I even have to say that? You know what I mean? And so this is what I talk about when we talk about limitations. It's just the common man, and we've encountered all of them, right? And those projections are totally living through us every day, and just the way we move. And so, and then part of me is like, okay, I sometimes say that to just keep myself humble, but I am I don't feel like I need to really do that, but I know that I do that, and that's nothing more than just me working to get to worthy, because like I said, it's like I'm so young, and I know a lot, to be so young, and that's, I don't know, is just, I guess it's just not something that's very prevalent. I don't know. Because like I said, I'm always at a space where I'm like, I know nothing, right? So enough of me. But I think that the biggest thing is definitely like admitting to what it is that we want, because we don't feel like we can have it. We don't feel like we're worthy of it, and so get rid of that. Or we feel like we need to be like this, we need to be better and strive to be better. And now, don't get me wrong, I definitely believe in self-improvement. Like, that's what this whole podcast series is about. Like, definitely be better than you were yesterday. But it becomes a danger zone when you start to strive to be better just because you don't feel worthy. You know what I mean? Like, that takes self-improvement into a completely different dimension. And that right there is not enjoyable. That right there is pressure. And I mean, I don't know, you guys. Like, I feel like it's like when you step into the space and you're like, I'm doing this just because I don't feel worthy. That's not a good space to be in, right? Like, because you want to feel worthy, you know what I mean? And I think just in today's society, I want to share this quote with you guys. It was from Fred Rogers, and he said that life is simple, and life is deep and simple, but what society gives us is shallow and complicated. And I think that this is something that we are seeing all over the masses, right? A lot of people are starting to attach their worth to their materialism and all of the things that they attain in the tangible sense. And it's crazy. You know what I mean? And to me, I'm like, I think when I was younger, I used to attach my worth to those things just because I didn't have a true sense of identity. But like, now I'm in a space, I'm like, listen, I don't care if I'm here or there, you know what I mean? I know that I'm worthy, because here's the thing, you guys, these things are so fleeting. They're so fleeting, and they're always changing. You're always going to have a desire to want something more. You're always going to have a desire to want a new car and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ever changing, but like, what's within you is real. That's real. And that right there is what holds value. The way you touch lives, the way you speak to people, the way your character, first of all, your character, your integrity. Okay. How do you handle your business? How do you conduct business? Your professionalism, that is what really matters. That's what holds value. Like, seriously, but unfortunately, that's just kind of the space that we're entering in. And I won't speak too much on that, but those are just some of the lies that I think that we tell ourselves. And I think if we don't obliterate this, which this whole this podcast episode is about, if we do not obliterate this, you guys, you're going to end up, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be joyous. Like, you're never going to feel a deep sense of fulfillment. So tell yourself the truth, because it is the one thing that will truly, truly set you free. And then you can soar. You can soar. You can go after whatever you want. You can do whatever it is that you want. You can attract whoever you want. And you can, like, you know what I mean? And then that's true to you. And then that's everything, right? That's what this whole journey is about. What's the point of doing it if it's not real? What's the point of, you know what I mean? What's the point of that? You know what I mean? At least while I'm here in the flesh, I want to enjoy it and I want to have a good time and I want to, I don't know, in the afterlife or whatever, right? Or even just now, like I want to touch people and I want people to say, dang, Jalen Leslie, wow. She was great. Nobody's going to remember what you were wearing. Nobody's going to remember, no, nobody's going to remember that. That's not going to matter, So I'm going to leave you guys with your thoughts, and I hope everybody has a great night. Happy Friday, by the way.